Okay, there's a surprising amount of people who either decided to buy Jack Frost or don't have enough token for Bishamonten, so I decided that it's valid to make a guide for people without Bishamonten. So here it is. However, obviously, if you do and can get him, he is way better than doing it any other way. Especially, I've been trying to do this rotation with my free-to-play account with quite weak stuff. But like most of you, I only have one 5-star weapon. I chose choosing a weapon out of this 3. It's pretty even. I personally really like Vino's because of the 30% element accuracy stat, which is the stat you really need to scale with, and it's a very rare stat compared to attack you can get on Leon everywhere and HP you can get on Shun everywhere. However, Leon and Shun, these two are generally on more teams, at least at the moment, but you can't really go wrong with selecting any of these 3-4 stars 5-star weapon. So instead of Bishamonten's DPS, we're going to use Janosik. Janosik should have some more DPS passives. In this case, you want to try and inherit some. I'm not going to because I'm saving some materials and this account doesn't need Janosik for the DPS because it does have Bishamonten. And then the 2 other personas you're never going to use, but you're just going to choose any persona with high stats. So one of these, especially the attack stat. Passives don't matter because these passives don't carry over. And you want to start on Janosik. You're going to be using the red knife like always, and make sure when you're stat sticking your personas, they're of different elements so that it can stack the red knife's effect. I want to show the Phoebe variation. Of course, Phoebe, if you are not using Bishamonten, is actually better on the Arn side. However, since I showed the Okean version previously, I want to show how Phoebe works. This Phoebe should not perform too much better than what an Okean can perform. Without Bishamonten, your score is still going to look kind of sad. I did try on my main account and got a lot better score, but that account has a lot more invested units. Leon is on power and trust. This could be prosperity and trust. However, the navigator, which I can't change, is the one that I'm borrowing, has already prosperity and trust. Vino doesn't really have a good set, so on prosperity and departure, so that'll give you damage bonus when attacking foes. This is part of the reason why Bishamonten is so good, is because both Vino and Leon can run sets that buff Bishu, but there's not really a set that can buff gun damage. I have 2 prosperity sets, but of course they don't stack. The important thing is the space card. So that means if you can't fulfill the set on Vino, it's okay. Your primary goal is to hit this 100 or 100 something element accuracy, or maybe a little bit less than 100 if you don't have the 5-star weapon. For your first turn, they're gonna be S2 onto the Byaku. Leon S2 onto Wonder, and then S2 here. So differently, we're going to follow up onto the Kohryu. If you have enough damage, however, you don't need to do this, but this account does not have enough damage, so you need to follow up on this. And now we're going to target Byaku and hit it. If this can kill, then I've done it before. I can follow up onto the Byaku and kill him with Wonder. Then that's good. That means you can kill Byaku and then you can kill this guy, and then you can stop basically any freeze RNG. Okay, so if you did have A1 Phoebe, she will actually be up 1 turn before. You will use her S1 then. And then later, you will be using S1 again instead of S2. If you took any damage, you can ice defense. I didn't take any damage, so I'm just going to smash it onto the Byaku just to make sure that I can kill him. Here, I'm going to Justice Barrier again. Cool, and then on this turn, going to highlight with Wonder. And your highlight should kill. Maybe it doesn't, but that's okay. And then S2 again. Pull up on Wonder again onto the boss. As long as the Byaku is on a little bit HP, you can finish him off this turn. If the Byaku is already dead, that's good. That means you can buff yourself with a buff that your persona has. Either Rebellion is probably your best, or you can use Tarakaja if your thing's on it. Any buff. This turn you're gonna gun on Shun. Going to wait out the extremely long animation. Here we're going to S3. Okay, Phoebe's up again. You're going to S1 again. I'm hitting Wonder, but it actually does not matter who you target. Okay, now we S1. Then Rakunda on Janosik. Okay, everyone tanks that freeze, and you make sure you want to make sure that Wonder does not get frozen here. He does not have the frozen debuff. That's good. We're going to Vino highlight right on this turn. Smash hits. Okay, and then Justice Barrier again. Now you can S3. So, remember what I said before, if you had A1 Phoebe, you would actually, on Vino's turn, you'd have a chance to S1 instead of S2 here. Okay, now we have a little turn to spare. I'm going to S2. Targeting Wonder. And you want one to be really, really low because you don't actually want this S2 to overheal him way too much. And now this Wonder shot needs to kill. Nice. And it has to also apply Mark as well. Sweet, S1. Don't want to override the buff. And this turn you're going to Ultima Booster. And now you have Leon highlight onto Wonder. Here's the reason why you don't want a Wonder to be low, because you want him to get healed up. Vino's gonna S1. Okay, and on this turn you have the last. So if you're playing Bishamonten, the important thing is here you switch the persona you're going to use as your main DPS, so Bishamonten or Janosik, and then you click on support. You click on S3. Ideally the RNG is to have all three different cups. This is actually really, really good. And then S3, target Wonder. That way, as you can see, you'll get the gun damage boost. If you target Bishamonten, you'll get the nuke damage boost. And you go Tetris shot. Okay, so S1s again. And then here, you must S1 on Leon to get enough energy for highlight. Lastly, do an S3. I missed the ailment here, that's kind of unfortunate. Sometimes you can experiment with flipping Vino's S3 and S1 to maybe get more ailments. But it's not as big of a deal if you're not playing Bishamonten. Gonna highlight Wonder, and then one last Tetris shot. So I managed to get 18 million. Not bad, but you can see like it severely underperforms. Even if you just look at Janosik's damage compared to Bishamonten, it's a huge difference, especially with the good Phoebe buff.